shot. Came from over there.
Come on, boys, let's take a look. You sure you weren't hit?
Marina reared. I wasn't ready for it. You better go get her. Well, go on.
Mrs. Kip, what happened? It sounded like...
Yes, didn't it? Where were you?
I was coming back from the Santulli farm.
The boys are still looking. We'll take you home, Mrs. Kip.
You'll take me. I'm quite able to take care of myself, I assure you.
That's the first time I ever heard the boss bother to say she could take care of herself. First time I ever saw her scared, and she is.
Should prove your point for you, Don. This must be our Imperial's client. Well, why don't you do the honors, Jed?
I shall ingratiate myself. If anybody can. From the way she sounded on the phone, she... Yes, Al. No. It'll have to be Burlingame. Because that's where I want him to be. How do you do?
Mr. Corey?
No, I'm Jed.
That's a relief. I'm Beatrice Kip, Mrs. Martin Kip. I called this morning.
Won't you come in? That's 3 o'clock, not 5 out, not 5 after. 3.
Mr.
I'm Dr. Carl Hyatt.
He lectures in criminology at the university. This is Don Corey.
Right. Bye.
Well, that's better.
Mrs. Kip? My associate, Mr. Jed Sills.
You have an excellent reputation, Mr. Corey. I hope it's deserved. I stopped by at the bank on my way here and picked up your fee. You said you could start on this at once.
You said we could, Mrs. Kip. I was given no choice. Also, at least on the phone, you gave us very little to go on.
There is nothing to go on. Somebody tried to kill me.
And this wasn't the first attempt, you said?
I wasn't sure before, but I am now. I had an accident in the car. The steering mechanism was tampered with.
And then the incident last night. No wonder you're alarmed.
I'm not the least alarmed. I'm not even angry. It's a nuisance, and I want it stopped. It's a mystery, and mysteries irritate me.
And you've no idea who could be doing this, huh?
None.
Well, could it have been, let's say, business enemies?
Well, hardly mortal ones.
Personal?
I don't pretend to be the most tactful woman in the world.
In other words, you ride a bit roughshod, is that it?
A woman alone has no choice unless she wants to be trampled.
Who would benefit from your death? I mean, the terms of your will.
The university. The ranch and a trust fund to maintain it go to the agricultural division. Dr. Hyatt, you don't suppose any of your colleagues would be zealous enough to try to anticipate that?
Oh, dear me, I hope not. At least not without consulting me. I could have told them how to handle this much more efficiently. Nevertheless, you know, this might be a useful cover for us out at the ranch.
Well, obviously, the ranch is the place to start.
That's right. Dr. Hyatt and Jed will drive down with you now. I'll call in the afternoon, too.
Call? You'll come yourself, of course.
Well, I'm afraid that's impossible. I'm in the middle of another case, and I can't leave.
Well, you'll have to. I hired you, Don Corey.
You hired Checkmate Incorporated.
All right, Checkmate Incorporated. What's the difference?
The difference, Mrs. Kip, is that Checkmate is an organization whose function is to prevent the kind of crimes you're being threatened with.
Well, yes.
It includes Dr. Hyatt, one of the world's foremost criminologists, and Mr. Sills, who is extremely capable, and myself.
I want protection against murder, not a prom date. My life is in danger, and
My
you
other
tell
client's
me...
life is also in danger, Mrs. Kipp, as are the lives of most people Checkmate helps. Personally, I can't take all the cases. That's the setup. You'll have to take it or leave it.
You seem to forget who is hiring whom. I can't accept that.
Feeling as you do, I suggest you take your problem to the police.
The police? The nearest law enforcement is a doddering old deputy sheriff in a dried-up, dying town 10 miles away. You know what he'd say if I brought this to him? What all the good people of that town would say. About time somebody took a shot at her.
You've had your difficulties there.
I was born there, on the wrong side of the railroad tracks, if there'd been any railroad tracks. They weren't anxious to be friendly with me before my marriage. I haven't cared to be friendly since. Mr. Corey, I insist.
I can recommend another agency.
Shall I call you a cab? I noticed you came up in one. All the way from the ranch? Well, I suppose you can afford it.
Well, I didn't want to risk being alone in the car. Oh, please, I don't know why I try to hide it. Of course I'm frightened. I'm terrified. If there was only some reason, someone, but there isn't. It can only be hatred. Just hatred. Look, there's no one else I can turn to. There hasn't been for years. Since my husband died. I never thought I needed anyone. Thank you. Can you ride, Mr. Sills?
Like the wind, man.
Well, that's something. I never could quite trust a man who couldn't ride.
Well, I can. So it appears Mr. Sills is the right man for you after all.
If anything should go wrong...
Won't. But if I need it, I'll come at once, personally.
You guarantee that?
I'll be the first one to holler, if I goof. Shall we start? My car's right outside.
Thank you.
And since when can't you ride?
I thought it was called for. Carl, just between the two of us, keep an eye on Jed, will you, in case he gets a bit too impulsive.
Well, what about my impulses? Given a little provocation, I might shoot her. Well, that's going to marry me.
Think she'd have you?
I doubt it. Come to think of it, though, an excellent motive for murder. Yes, I must look into that. What do you call it, Mrs. Kipp? Does it have a name?
What it is. Martin's Farm. My husband bought it after we were first married. He wasn't content to be just a wealthy sportsman. It's still his.
I understand you've expanded it quite considerably since his death.
Yes. Mr. Sills. Jed. I was very young when I got married, and only about your age when my husband died. And when I refused to sell this place and decided to run it myself, they all laughed at me, said I was insane.
Looks like you've done fine.
Well, a couple of hours ago in Mr. Corey's office, I was just as unfair to you because of your age as those people were to me. I haven't had much practice at apologizing, but...
Looks like you're still doing fine. Now, where's this place where you were riding?
Oh, just ahead here. It came from about in there.
Up there, hmm? Let me see. There. Mm-hmm.
You say most of your ranch hands were together when they heard the shot.
I think so. Except one man who was in town after supplies. Old Ben, who looks after me at the house now.
Well, by George, there it is.
Anyone else?
Charlie Barron.
Jed! Jed, will you come over here a moment, please?
Find it?
Yes, look, isn't it lucky? Right there.
What are you doing?
Hmm? Well, I'm measuring to see how deep it went into the tree.
You said Charlie Barron.
He's my foreman. He was overlooking at a new farm that I recently acquired. He came from this direction.
Ah, well. I can't be sure, of course, until I get it under the microscope, but at first glance, I'd say you were shot at with a Peroda. Prior to World War II model, I'd say.
Well, what is it, Mrs. Kip?
Hmm?
Do you know someone who owns a gun like that?
One person. I do. It must be coming from the barn.
Not a nerve in her body.
Not now.
Come here, all of you. Pitchforks. Spearing him with pitchforks. That animal is worth more than a lot of you put together. If you're afraid to be around him, take your pay and get out. Charlie! Charlie, I'm holding you responsible. If any of the men hurts that animal, so much as touches him, be careful. I think I might kill you.
Maybe you'd rather the horse do it for you. Be a nice way to get rid of me.
I wouldn't have any trouble getting rid of you. I could always replace a foreman.
You didn't feel like that a while back.
That was a while back.
Who are they?
Dr. Hyatt? An agricultural expert from the university looking over the ranch. And one of his students.
Well, don't tell me it's college boys now.
Let's go, gentlemen.
You sure you know what you're doing, Mrs. Kip, keeping that stallion around? It looks to me like he'd never be broken.
I didn't buy him to be broken. I've always wanted a horse like that, and once I found him, he wasn't easy to get. My stock is getting static. But with his qualities bred in, this farm can be my most precious single possession. I don't like things that can be broken.
Something of a split personality, wouldn't you say?
Split. Fractured.
Is that your husband?
Yes.
Fine-looking man.
Odd. He seems to remind me of someone.
Really? The gun's in the trophy room. It belonged to him. I put everything in there when he died. His guns, his prizes. And then later, the prizes either I or the farm won for him.
Do you always keep that key there?
Van dust once in a blue moon. Even I don't go in very often. It's too painful. Everything I love in the world is in there. No!
I suppose the Peroda was here.
Yes.
He took it from there, all right. But why this? He didn't have to go through the place like a cyclone.
He didn't, Jed. This destruction is very systematic. Very deliberate. This fragile glassware is untouched. Yet the statuette next to it, smashed. This trophy, the certificates, plaques, all carefully selected objects.
Everything that meant anything to me. That mattered. Hatred. Just hatred.
Well, how is she, Jed?
Is she all right?
She's lying down.
So Elmer just told me the damage must have been done here this morning.
Well, she was in the city?
It had to be. I was in here yesterday checking the stallion register. Everything was in order then.
Did you notice then the Proto was gone?
No, I didn't.
Could anyone have gotten in the house again this morning without being seen?
Well, any time, if all the boys happen to be working outside. Of course, it'd be taking a big chance, but someone took it.
Yes, he's getting reckless.
Sure is. I'll get it. Kip residence. Oh, hi, Don.
Hi, Jed. How's it going?
A little good, a little bad. We found the trophy room smashed up. Mrs. Kip wanted to put in a riot call for you the minute we found it.
Uh-huh. That narrows it down to somebody at the ranch, then.
Yeah.
Maybe one of the ranch hands saw something.
Look, Jed, when you question them, you take Carl along, will you?
I mean, after all, he is a psychology expert, you know.
I'm not going to question him.
Don, the way some of them seem to feel about it, well, who knows what kind of answers I'd get.
I've got another idea.
Oh? What?
Look, Don.
Well, just so it's a good one.
Look, this is your show, Jed. Check it out with Carl, huh?
And say hello to him for me.
Okay, Don.
Right.
I hate to see Mrs. Kip frightened this way. I wish there was something I could do to help.
You think a lot of Mrs. Kip, don't you, Elmer?
Why shouldn't I? As for the rest of them, the hands, the people around here, well, she's just too good for them, that's all.
Good. Then there is something you can do to help. Elmer, I don't want you to tell anyone about it. No one. As far as you're concerned, nobody's been in that room for days. Will you do that for me?
For her, yes. Anything.
Good.
And just what do you have in mind?
I'm a simple guy. I got simple ideas. Now, if we can just sell Mrs. Kip on it.
on
you
age
guys got
before
20
beauty,
bucks.
Sonny.
Hey, how about let me have 20 bucks?
How do you expect me to...
Well, you know, payday's pretty soon. I'll give it back to you. You know that.
Same blonde?
I hope so. Boy, she's a doll.
No, dog.
Give me the other
washout.
Oh, come on.
Well, they should have gotten the idea by now.
Suppose it doesn't work. Suppose whoever it is gets suspicious.
Haven't you ever given all of your hands a Friday night off?
Sometimes. I wasn't afraid to be alone then.
You won't be alone. They'll only think so.
Charlie, come on. You're wasting valuable time.
Yeah, come on, Charlie. You're holding us all up. Hurry up.
Come on, hurry up.
Charlie, hurry up.
Come on, time to waste. Get on
Let's
here.
go. Come on.
We don't get a break like this every day.
Okay, Ben.
Let's go, Ben. Let's go.
Bedroom's comfortable. Anyway, you'll be safer there tonight. That branch is a little too tempting. Now take it easy, Mrs. Kipp.
I'm trying to. I wish Mr. Corey were... I'm sorry. What do you want me to do now?
Well, I guess we'll go downstairs and wait. Evening's still young yet. It's 7 o'clock.
Isn't it? You get bored enough, you forget to be terrified.
Think you could go to sleep now, Mrs. Kipp?
You're waiting for someone in particular. Someone you suspect.
I wouldn't bank on it.
Charlie Barron? You saw us today.
I didn't say that.
Charlie likes to think he's strong. But he's weak.
Would that let him out?
So quiet. Yes, a few months ago, Charlie had ideas above his station. He thought he could take over this farm.
Did you show him any encouragement?
I worship my husband's memory. But after all, I'm a woman. I never encouraged him to think I'd marry him.
False alarm. You better get upstairs now. And don't worry.
spooked him.
Gentlemen. You. This is Rich. She sent us to town. I figured she was going to meet somebody. Never occurred to me.
Something, and I came in here. You said it'd be safe. You said you'd protect me.
Jim! Up here!
I knew I shouldn't have listened to Mr. Corey. Why isn't he here?
Mrs. Kip, it's all over. We've got him.
What?
B. What? I came back here to try to find out who you were.
We know what you tried to do, Baron. But she wasn't here.
Now, wait a minute. You don't think I did that? No, Jed. No, I followed him from the moment he came on the property. Not been out of my sight for 1 minute. He went around the house, but not in it.
It's all over. We've got him. Now will you call Mr. Corey?
Do as she says, Jed.
You gave me your word, Mr. Corey. You said this boy could take your place. Well, all he did was expose me to the greatest danger of my life. Like a goat staked out to lure a tiger.
Well, not overly subtle, perhaps, but at least it has the virtue of directness. If there's any blame, I shared it.
How generous of you, Doctor. I didn't mean to omit you. If I'd been in that bed, I would have been killed.
But you weren't in that bed. Jed made very sure of that.
And if I'd been there, I would have had him if Baron hadn't come along.
I'm not paying for ifs. I came to you, Mr. Corey. I hired you.
Look, would it make you feel any better if I went down with you now?
You guaranteed that, I believe.
Very well. Would you mind waiting in my car? It's just outside. I'd like a word with my colleagues.
Your flunkies, you mean.
Carl, you'll keep in touch with me on that Burlingame thing, huh?
Don.
I know. Be a beautiful world if all the clients were reasonable. Look, I wouldn't have thought of anything better myself.
Thanks. Even though you don't mean it. Doctor,
Go on home, Jed. We both could use some sleep,
Just the same, there's something about this. I don't know what it is yet. But it's nagging me. Yeah. smile at me. I don't deserve it.
Please. Oh, no, could I speak with Captain Bergen, please? This is Dr. Hyatt. Mm-hmm. Yes, of course, I'll hold on.
Picture. Of course.
Well, that's very flattering of you, Captain Bergen. But I'm afraid this time I'm in need of your help. yes. I say, would you know offhand the velocity of an Italian Baroda automatic? Pre-World War II, I'd say.
Get off the phone.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, yes, that's what I thought. You've been very kind. Thank you. Bye-bye. I've been trying to reach you.
Well, I've been trying to reach you. I've got something to tell you. Something funny.
Yes, and I have something to tell you, but it's not funny at all. That bullet I dug out, it couldn't have been fired from more than 20 yards away from that tree.
Mrs. Kipp was about 20 yards away.
Well, I don't know, but a Peroda firing from where she said it did. Well, this bullet was buried too deeply to have gone that distance.
So Mrs. Kipp fired the shot herself.
You don't seem very surprised.
Well, that's what I wanted to see you about. The picture. Everything in that room was destroyed. Everything that mattered to her, except the picture of her husband.
That wasn't in the trophy room.
Why not? It was important to her. It had been in that room, Doctor. A larger picture was hanging over the gun rack. I saw the marks. And from what I can remember of it, I'll bet those marks would just fit her husband's picture. She changed them so she wouldn't have to destroy it.
So, she did it all herself. The attack last night.
Sure, it was a cinch, but why?
Jed, from the moment she came into the office yesterday, what was the one thing she was trying to achieve?
Yeah, to get down to the ranch. Well, maybe she just likes older men, but I'm not taking that chance.
Well, I haven't had time to get there yet.
What, do you think I'm going off half-cocked again?
No, I wish I did, but... Oh, well, there could be any number of explanations, of course, but... Look, we can call them on the way. Come on.
Mr. Corey, perhaps I was a little hard on Mr. Sills back in your office, but I was counting so much on you.
You strike me as a woman who usually gets what she wants. I only hope you're not overestimating me.
Oh, no. No, I have the right man now. Mr. Corey,
Just looking over the damage.
do you mind if we relax for a little bit before we go into it? After last night.
Not at all. Reaction setting in? That's only natural.
For me. But you're used to danger, aren't you? It doesn't frighten you.
Guess again.
Even here trying to protect me, you might be killed.
Well, it's my job to see we both stay alive.
It's when death is inevitable and you're absolutely helpless waiting. I think that's the worst, don't you? Does the painting interest you, Mr. Corey? Yes. My husband. Dr. Hyatt fancied he saw a resemblance to someone. Do you?
I'm not sure.
You'd laugh if I told you who he reminded me of when I first met him. Prince Charming, Lochinvar, all the silly things a girl dreams of and never has. I had him for a while.
No children?
No. The farm was our job.
And you never thought of marrying again? There must have been plenty of men who...
Men. I'm only human. But to replace him, to be worthy of my memories of him.
You set very high standards, don't you?
I've paid for them. These last years I wondered whether anything mattered, whether it was worth going on, even the farm. Oh, I went through the motion.
You're a young woman still. Your life is a long ways from being over.
Yeah. I found that out this spring. At last there was a man. I was right to wait. He was my husband all over again. Oh, I don't mean the physical resemblance, that was slight enough. But his strength, his courage, his love. All of a sudden, my life lit up, my whole world. I began to make plans for my life, for the farm. He loved it as much as I did. He found that stallion for me. He got it when the owner didn't want to sell. He knew how to get what he wanted.
Quite a fellow.
With him, I could have had.
What happened?
He died a month ago.
I'm sorry.
Why?
Well, I mean...
Why are you sorry he died? You didn't even know him.
Did I know him, Mrs. Kipp?
Very well.
Alex Randall.
Oh, you recognize him now. Of course you saw him. You were on that witness stand.
There were 14 witnesses against him, Mrs. Kipp.
You dug them up. You scavenged for them.
Mrs. Randall feared for her life. I couldn't take her case, so I referred her to another firm. After she died, I began to ask questions. There were rumors about a wealthy woman in the background.
Yes, you'd have liked me to come forward, wouldn't you? That would have made things even simpler.
You still think he was innocent? He was guilty, Mrs. Kipp.
Of what? She wouldn't let him go. He wanted to be free. Free to come to me. And he was until you interfered. He didn't tell me what he was going to do. He didn't have to.
That won't bring him back, Mrs. Kipp. And I don't want to see you hurt.
He wasn't afraid to risk everything, and neither am I.
I suppose she's taking him to the ranch.
Well, we must presume so, Jed, if our deductions are correct. If she does have something in mind.
Yeah, and there's nobody there to interfere with her.
Perhaps we should try to phone again. They must have reached the ranch by now. Keep your eyes open for another gas station.
You know, if we're wrong about this, Doctor, Mrs. Kipp, I mean, we're gonna look pretty silly.
Well, far better to be silly and safe, my boy, than certain and sorry.
Come here. Turn around. Your gun. On the couch. Slowly. Alex didn't die quickly. I'm not about to do you that favor. No. It was months after the judge pronounced sentence. Did you sleep those nights, Mr. Corey? I forgot what it was to sleep. Waiting as he was waiting, knowing what he was going through, unable to see him or visit him. And even that last night, hoping for a reprieve, everything in me crying out to go to him. But I waited. And in the morning when he died, I knew who made him die that way. I knew what I had to do. Outside. I'm going to kill you, Mr. Corey. With the help of the only thing I have left to remember Alex by. Fitting, isn't it?
Mrs. Kipp.
You're hoping, aren't you? The way Alex hoped. No use. By the time the hands get back, it'll be too late. You will have had a nasty accident. Well, let it ring. Over there. Did you ever see your death coming towards you, Mr. Corey? Alex did.
Sounded like it came from the barn.
You can't hide from it, Mr. Corey. Look at it.
She hated me enough to destroy everything she loved. Except that stallion.